Hi guys, can someone give me a thumbs up? Can you hear me? Okay, cool. While we wait for everyone to join, I'm gonna do a little introduction here for THORChain for people new. THORChain is a DEX that enables you to swap Bitcoin with thousands of other cryptos, all layer one native tokens. There's no bridges, no wrap tokens being used, and you can do this all from within your self-custody wallet. There's no KYC on THORChain. It's permissionless. THORChain's token is called Rune, R-U-N-E, and you don't need to own or hold any Rune in your wallet to place a swap on THORChain. The fee is deducted from your, the asset that you're selling. So you don't need to have any Rune. However, the fees that are deducted from your trade are used to buy Rune and deliver that to the liquidity pools and nodes on the network. And that's where the yield comes from on THORChain. There's no block rewards on THORChain. 100% of the yield is real. So it's real users, real people using THORChain. There's another token on THORChain. It's called TCY. That's for THORChain yield. And this token is kind of like a preferred stock, where 10% of the whole protocol's revenue goes to these token holders. And so if you can buy this token on this trades on THORChain, you can go buy it on your own. Or if you were involved in the savers and lending THORFi features on THORChain, you have claim to these TCY tokens. So make sure you still go and claim those and start collecting yield. And I believe Regira just put out an auto compounding feature where you can stake your TCY and have the yield from those tokens go buy more TCY. So you're automatically compounding it. To swap trade on THORChain, go to thorchain.org and you can click on swap. You'll see all the different wallets and websites that use THORChain, so you can choose whichever interface you want. We are working on, I have some good news for everybody. Maybe I'll say this now. We are a go on the THORChain front end. We have devs working on it. It's happening right now. So there's some little alpha for you guys, everybody who's tuned live. I purposely didn't put this on Twitter or anything. I wanted you guys coming in, listen here. This is your little treat and reward. So it's happening. It's moving forward. Sorted everything out with JP and the treasury, and reading the developers from Unstoppable Wallet. Been chatting with them lots lately. They're great stand-up guys, I think. And we had some other teams I was talking to with your other devs are super interested. But we just felt this was a better direction. And so I appreciate everyone's support, reaching out, trying to help. Everyone wants to move THORChain forward. So it's pretty cool. So hopefully by the end of, hopefully in a month, we'll have a version 1 of the site live. And then there'll be more versions as the months roll out as we add new features. But just a basic swap interface should be ready in about a month. Regira, they're building decentralized Binance on THORChain's smart contract layer. It's being rolled out right now. Every week, it seems like they're slowly increasing usage. So it'll be fun to see. Speaking of Binance, if you hold Rune there or on any centralized exchange, you should withdraw it into self-custody, because you don't know what those centralized exchanges are doing with the tokens. They could be using them to short sell Rune and drive their price down on yourself. So if you have it in self-custody, they can't do that. And this is the whole point of THORChain, right? Is to empower self-custody. And once you have your Rune in self-custody, think about bonding it to a node. This is where you can earn some yield while you wait for the Rune price to go up. And you in turn help secure the network and help make it possible and encourage the Rune price to go up. The more security we have, the bigger THORChain can grow. There's a THORChain community Discord and Telegram that you can join and learn all about THORChain, meet other THORChads, make friends there. To find the links to those, you go to @THORcommunity on Twitter. That's their handle, @THORcommunity. Guys, gals, please repost this space. Right now where you're listening, we can get some more people in here. If you're listening to the recording, please repost it with any comments or questions. Uh, and these spaces are aimed towards anyone in their THORChain journey. So whether you're brand new to THORChain or you've been around for years, hopefully we try to have something for everybody here. There's still an ongoing vote going on with the nodes. So node operators, bond providers, make sure to vote about the L1 minimum slip fee, 8 basis points or 5, and ADR 20, the whole app layer Rajira thing. If you guys can go out there, please make sure to vote. And so let's get started. We'll kick these things off with some introductions. I'll introduce myself. My name's Kenton. I have a fund that is dedicated to investing in Rune and running nodes on THORChain. I'm pretty sure it's the only fund in the world doing this. And so I'm a node operator and bond provider on THORChain. And with that being said, I'll pass this on to my co-host, Patriot. Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Kenton. Thanks for dropping a little alpha, giving these kids treats, the ones who show up early for these spaces. I think that's awesome. Patriot Sounds, guys. I'm an educator for THORChain, content creator. I do a lot of stuff. Love this technology. I am so excited for this topic because really the people that we're going to be talking about today are absolute legends. They're actually moving the needle, just revolutionary technology that not only embraces the DeFi primitives, which make THORChain, Maya Protocol, and other places so great, but really make it safe and trustworthy and essentially starting a new standard. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and kick it. I don't know if it's the Vultisig or if it's the PAL, but go ahead and introduce yourself and we'll get the show started.
Yeah, I'll go from here. I hope you guys can hear me well. Thanks a lot for hosting us today. Super excited to be here and to talk about Vultisig, THORChain, and everything about it, and taking questions. So yeah, I myself are the project manager, working closely with JP. I think everyone knows, and the whole THORChain Vultisig team to just push the new boundaries when it comes to wallet and safety of Web3. I'm also like quite a THORChain OG, I would say. I probably joined 2021, right before mainnet launched. So I got the last bits of ChaosNet. And since then, like super dedicated to THORChain. I love what we are building as a whole community. I love every one of you guys here. It's just like, in my opinion, super crucial to have a decentralized DEX, let's say. And then, of course, that's why we at Vultisig are super close to the THORChain and the whole ethos to it, because we were eventually like born out of THORChain. And that's like, I think, a quick introduction, and happy to be here and talk all about Vultisig today.
Great, thank you, pal. So today we're talking about Vultisig. So Vultisig is a new wallet, and it's not just any kind of wallet. Like, you guys are basically, it's like a whole new look at how crypto wallets work, right? And so, can you maybe, pal, tell us a bit more about that, as if someone's never heard of Vultisig before? Like why should I care, basically?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, essentially, I think it's enough to just go on Twitter and scroll for a few minutes, and then you see enough posts where you see like people getting exploited, losing their seed phrases, and like all of this bad stuff. And I think I don't have the exact numbers in my head, but I think eventually this year 2025 was one of the biggest years when it comes to losses, just due to any like seed phrase handling. So that gives or paints a good picture that seed phrases are the most the biggest point of failure in our industry currently. And that's where we at Vultisig just gonna or jumped in and want to try to solve that issue. And essentially what we are at Vultisig is, I would say, THORChain just for everyone, a personal THORChain. So we are using the same MPC technology what THORChain uses for the hosting of or the distributing and the security of the funds of the vaults. So essentially we are leveraging the MPC technology, what also THORChain uses. and giving that to everyone, right? So the cool thing is with MPC technology, we can get rid of seed phrases first of all, because essentially each vault or wallet which a user creates has multiple devices, because as in the THORChain, for example, we need multiple nodes to join together and manage these funds. And essentially these nodes in Vultisig are your devices, right? It can be your iPhone, it can be your laptop, it can be your Mac, your Windows, or your Android, whatever. We are like available everywhere. Also now, since a few weeks, have a full functioning Chrome extension. So that's like where you have these multiple devices and they come together and create a vault. And essentially, they do not manage any seed phrase. They're just these vault shares, backups, where you just have one of each device. You can store them anywhere because they don't have any sensible data on it. So that's why we also always say it's safe to store your backups in the cloud or anywhere like digitally, which then like for all the crypto OGs just blows their mind, and many get like already just cut off because they think no, it's not possible, because it's so ingrained in our brains that it's inherently insecure to store any, let's say, backup or seed phrases or whatever online. But the cool thing with the MPC technology, it's possible and it's safe as long as you distribute it like sufficiently in different places digitally, right? So that's like where we then get rid of the seed phrases, and eventually it also removes the single point of failure, meaning if one device gets stolen by some like malicious actor in real life, or you download a malicious PDF, the hacker or the attacker can't do anything with just that one device, because it needs like a multi-factor authentication from at least a second or a third device, or yeah, you could bring it even to 20 devices or whatever. It's essentially the same what THORChain does, right, with a 20 nodes in one Asgard vault. So yeah, that's like eventually where we really like revolutionize the wallet space, I would say. Of course, there are like other different MPC wallets out there, but like our main differentiator in that kind of view is like we're building completely in public and are completely open source, right? You can like verify our code, you can jump in our Discord and just check what we're like planning, talking about with our devs. So yeah, that's like I think the main differentiator in that kind of sense, because like our whole MPC technology is self-hosted on the devices, and that's like I would say different to other wallets who use the MPC technology, which are mainly like like to some extent self-custodial. And the good thing is, right, with Vultisig you get a multi-factor or a multi-sig wallet for all the different chains. We're currently supporting over 30 chains now, and like always pushing to add more and more chains. So because the MPC technology is chain agnostic, right? We don't use like any smart contracts or any native multisigs which are dependent on like a chain. So we essentially create the signatures off chain, same as THORChain, right? Because like I said, it's the same technology. And then we just broadcast the transactions or the signatures on each chain, what the user wants to interact with. I think that's a more or less quick introduction.
Oh, that's great. I want to unpack some of what you said there and maybe just slow it down a bit so, some people who aren't as savvy can catch up. So when you're saying MPC, Mike, Papa, Charlie, which stands for multi-party computation, right? And the idea there is that like there still is a seed phrase, but you're taking that single seed phrase and you're kind of like breaking it up into a few different pieces. Multi-sig has multiple seed phrases. And is that the main, am I right or wrong? Can you expand on that?
Yeah, exactly. I would say to an extent it's like you said, for like easy understandable, you're splitting up one seed phrase for multiple devices. But if you're like really down to the point, technically it's not even a seed phrase, right? Like the seed phrase or the private key in an MPC technology or MPC wallet never exists. So each of the devices, they just like come together when they create a vault or the wallet, and create that's what's called like a root public key, and from there, like all the different addresses for each chain can get derived. But essentially, like it's not that like one device has 12 words and the second device has the other 12 words or something. It's like all cryptographically, just zero with like, let's say, zero knowledge, proven that they have like the devices together with a threshold have access to the private key, but the private key itself never exists in like one place.
But the private key does exist, and it has to exist in order to have an address, a public key on a blockchain, right? There has to be a private key associated with it, right?
Essentially, you can like reconstruct it when you have all the different backups, but on like, let's say in a normal day, it never exists. So when the vault is created, like I said, right, the devices just join together. Let's say create a private key, derive the public key from it, the root public key, and then it like gets more or less, you can say, deleted in like layman terms. And then afterwards, the wallet just uses the public key to create all the different transactions. That's why sometimes we also run into problems interacting with some dApps, because they still are all dependent on like the seed phrase technology, and therefore sometimes it's hard for us to interact with, because we like have a different approach to like construct private key public keys and all of that stuff. But essentially, you can reconstruct the private key, yes, but on a daily or like a normal day, the private key does not exist like that.
So, sorry, it make me think of a few questions. So this is why, like when you say you can support any blockchain, because you're only dealing with one private key, one seed phrase on each blockchain. Whereas if someone was using multi-sig, like not every blockchain supports multi-signatures, like multiple seed phrases. So that is why utilizing the single seed phrase and then turning that into MPC enables you to use basically access any blockchain you want. It's just be a matter of time for you to support them on Vultisig. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially that's correct. Yeah, because like MPC technology, like the multi-party computation, is not really like, let's say, cryptocurrency native thing, right? For example, other companies and in the world using it too, let's say like Visa, any banks and everything, like a lot of these, like let's say big players utilizing MPC technology, just because it's one of the most secure cryptographic standards, I would say, these days. But of course, it can be used to, I mean, a prime application example are cryptocurrencies, because we are daily using signatures. So therefore, we can use it and are using it. But yeah, essentially, that's no, I lost the plot. What the question was? Sorry.
Yeah, just kind of just asking, like, so MPC technology is what enables you to use just one seed phrase, one private key, which means you access any blockchain. Like you're not
All right.
like a lot of blockchains rely on multi-signatures to have multiple parties control a wallet, but that requires the individual blockchain to support multi-sig, so to support that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas,
Exactly.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, maybe to just jump in there. So yeah, like you said, we're creating the signatures off chain, and therefore it's like on each blockchain, it doesn't need to support multisig or whatever, because the signatures and the transaction is created off chain in the Vultisig vault and then just broadcasted on chain. That gives like a few more beneficial points to like the users, because first, on the blockchain, you're not like doxed that you're using a multisig vault or wallet, and secondly, it's more efficient, right? Because it's just like an externally owned account on each blockchain, and then it's like just like a normal one signature, which is, for example, on Bitcoin, much more cost efficient than interacting with like a multisig vault or wallet.
So you mentioned like banks and like non-crypto entities use MPC. Can you maybe talk a bit about that? So how long has MPC been around? And you said it's like becoming the standard. Is it like, so is every, top big, Fortune 500 company in the world use MPC? And how do they use it? If they're not using it for a crypto seed phrase, how do they use it within their business?
Yeah, so I like honestly I can't tell exactly who and who's not on like the biggest, let's say the Fortune 500 or like the companies is using MPC and who's not. But like I said, a few big ones like Visa, Mastercard, or I think BNY, Yellow, and like a few more are using it definitely. MPC technology, the theory and the white papers, let's say, are out and about since I think 20, 30 years. Please don't quote me exactly on the days. I don't have them now in my mind, but around about that time. But the problem in these days or like before was always that MPC technology was just too, like resource intensive to have any, let's say, yeah, practical application possibilities. So then with in the last 10 years, MPC technology and like the research behind it just like got more advanced, and especially with the rise of cryptocurrencies, the let's say the economic incentive for MPC research and development just increased, and that's why we are like step by step getting into, let's say, more lower resource intensive MPC protocols, and can now apply it into like now with Vultisig using one of the most cutting edge MPC protocols, the DKLS 23, can just be run in your extension browser, Chrome extension browser, or on your apps without needing like big computational resources or whatever. And I think the first applications really have been, I honestly I don't have the exact years, but it should be like around 2015, 16, something like that, should like where we had like the first really applicable protocols. And one of these was also what THORChain now uses when THORChain came to life. And yeah, from there, it's just advancing rapidly, especially in the last years. And now, with Vultisig using DKLS 23, which is one of the fastest and most lightweight protocols, where we have worked closely with our partner Silence Labs to develop this one for Vultisig. And for example, Silence Labs also, they have similar, like they use the DKLS 23 protocol to also work with Visa, for example. And to come to the point where, for example, Visa and other bigger companies are using MPC technology, essentially it can be used for a lot, right? Like for example, for us to just create signatures, but you can also use it to prove identities, in a zero knowledge environment, and have like a lot of different application possibilities. Because essentially, what this does is just allowing different devices to join together and create a proof for whatever you want to apply it for, right? So the application possibilities are quite broad, but I think like mainly the current at the current standard, it's mainly used for, of course, cryptocurrencies, and then in just securing identities and just proving security in itself.
So, okay, so MPC is, at least in theory, has been around for a long time. TradFi uses it. I know the CeFi companies like Fireblocks and Copper, like those crypto custodians, they all use some form of MPC. So it's around, it's being used. MPC this technology is crucial to how THORChain works, how it manages its vaults. And so if this is so great and so powerful, why is Vultisig the first wallet to do this? Well, how come another wallet hasn't done this 5 years ago now? Why today? What makes it possible today, or why hasn't anyone else done this yet?
Yeah,
Or
I
am I
mean,
wrong? Or are there other wallets that are doing this, or is Vultisig the only
yeah,
one?
no, there are definitely other wallets that are doing it. For example, like you said, right, Fireblocks, I think, is the main or one of the biggest players who are using MPC technology for custodying cryptocurrencies. But of course, the issue, for example, with Fireblocks is that it's quite gated to institutionals or like players, because it's quite expensive to just have any access to it. So that's why I also sometimes jokingly say Vultisig is the Fireblocks for everyone. um, but yeah, essentially there are different wallets, but most of these wallets who are using MPC technology are like either like half custodian, because you always need like multiple devices, and many say just, yeah, it's better we run, like, for example, one share or like two shares or two devices on our infrastructure, and the user just has one device, which of course increases the usability and the ease of, let's say, management of like the daily use of cryptocurrency in a app. But of course it increases the trust and the reliance on a second or third party. That's why, for example, right, we are essentially like self custodian, or have self custody for everyone with Vultisig. But as, for example, we have two options in our app, which is like, one is the fast vault and one is the secure vault. And the fast vault, for example, gives you a single device experience, where we, like, similar like Fireblocks or different apps like Tangem, for example, host the second share, but we directly send it to you via email. So in any case, for example, if our server goes offline or whatever, you have always the full access to your funds, and can just load the share into your, like, in a second device, and then can just sign normally with a secure vault, where the secure vault is just you yourself with multiple devices. So that's why, like, we're not the only wallet, but I would say our approach is a bit more, let's say, closer to the whole crypto ethos and cypherpunk ethos, where we want to empower every user to have the possibility, are not like gated when it comes to any you know costs or like subscriptions or whatever. And that's why we are also completely open source and building in public, right? We want to show the world what we are building, how we are building it. And if somebody sees that we're like doing some stupid stuff or whatever, they can just hop in the Discord, make a comment, or that's why I always try, or say we're quite close, or try to be close to our community, the Volti Squad. If you're missing a feature or a chain or whatever, we can just talk about it and then just raise it and implement it down the road. So I think that's where the main differentiator is from like us and other MPC wallets, that we're completely open source. Everyone could fork us or whatever, and just verify them themselves, and are completely self custodian, right?
So you mentioned like the big players like Fireblocks, that those are basically institutional level wallets, and you said it's the MPC is expensive. Is it expensive, and it costs a lot of dev time to set up, and then after that, once it's done, it's done? Or is there like ongoing maintenance? Like there's always, like, is Vultisig always sending out updates? Is Fireblocks always doing updates on their MPC?
Not really. I think now the main thing with MPC technology, or or the question to why not like all wallets switch to MPC technology, is it's like a very new technology. So it's definitely, let's say, a small leap to really understand it, how to apply it, how to properly use it, and like that it works in a day-to-day basis. So that's why I would say there's still a bit of the like a knowledge factor when it comes to developing these wallets. And as we're like all, or like our core team, or like the core Vultisig team comes from THORChain, so all of us have, I would say, a good a good understanding how to use MPC technology and apply it on like a, let's say, a mobile level. And that's why sometimes we or at the like always struggling a bit to really make the interaction between devices like as flawless as possible, because the MPC technology is new, and if you add new chains, sometimes they're like introducing a new like difficulties and all of that we need to tackle some from time to time. So that's why, for example, currently it's a bit more work for us to add Zcash, like shielded Zcash, and like all of these like different, like there are always some new hurdles with MPC technology. That's why I think most of the devs or the let's say established wallets didn't really leap so far to the new technology, even though I would say it's the gold standard when it comes to security in Web3. And if we really want to onboard, the next 100 million users to crypto.
So, so now I'm thinking about Fireblocks. I mean, they're basically just like, I've talked to them too about, helping custody and having a wallet with them, and to do institutional custody, but their fees are crazy. It's really expensive, and well, last I checked, they do support Rune, but you can't stake, you can't bond your Rune through Fireblocks. Vultisig is free, and you can hold Rune and bond it through Vultisig, right? You can stake it. How is Fireblocks, this big company, charging all these fees? How is Vultisig? How are you guys doing this for free? Like, what's the catch? Am I the product? Like, am I you selling my data? Like, how are you guys getting paid? How do you make money off of this?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, essentially, as JP, as with THORChain, is also the founder of Vultisig, and he and or like the whole team set out, to just improve the security of whole Web3. That's why I would say essentially currently we are not like navigating on, like, let's say, any positive revenue, or like we're essentially are funded and have a good like runaway. But to really be sustainable in the long run, we need the product to be a success. And the main thing how we will like do it is with our Vultisig token, with a Vult token, which will launch eventually. I won't say any dates today, but yeah. So essentially, we are like free because we want to provide, like I said, the Fireblocks for everyone. We want to provide security and accessibility in like for that new technology for everyone. And then we hope with our cutting edge wallet, and then with our app store coming up and everything, we have the user adoption, where then essentially we, when we stake the Volt token, will also get like enough revenue to be sustainable in the long run. But of course, we're open source, so the project will for always live on and be available to everyone. But yeah, that's why we are like free, I would say, because we can do it with the technology we have behind it. We optimize the THORChain MPC, and like now with the new DKLS, we can run it on every device, and that's why we can be free and don't need like a big infrastructure or anything behind it.
We can talk about the whitelist and token launch later, but so you are launching a token. I assume there will be like a developer fund from that. So is it just going to be like is there going to be constant sell pressure on the token because you guys have to keep selling it to pay your salaries, or are you going to be collecting fees from within the wallet from some other features that will help pay you?
Yeah, right. No, we like essentially, like I said, we have a treasury which we will stake, because like the whole Volt token is fee switched 100%. So we take 50 basis points in the app itself. Note, if you use our referral feature, which we currently deploy on all platform, on iOS it's already live, you can save 10% on like all swaps. But essentially, like I said, the whole fees are getting distributed to the Volt stakers. So essentially, we are not like selling the token then. So we will stake it, and then just get the revenue out of it. But essentially, we have a fund or a treasury where we essentially then want to bootstrap adoption afterwards, and just get more people using Vultisig. But it won't be like a constant sell pressure from our treasury, let's say, because apart from that, we have a treasury in USDC where we are funded, have the runaway, and we are not relying on token sales themselves. So the treasury we have in the Volt token will then be used for giveaways, airdrop, and anything else that comes in the next 3-4 years, what we can think about to bootstrap adoption.
So you mentioned swaps in Vultisig. So I can, if I have crypto in my wallet in Vultisig, I can trade it. The Vultisig is connected to I assume THORChain. Is it connected to any other dexes? Like what tokens can I trade, or how many tokens can I trade inside Vultisig?
Yeah, I would say almost like we are having 30 chains connected, and of course, like not all are like inter-tradable currently, but we're aiming to have like full, cross-chain swap possibilities in the app. And of course, as we are coming from the THORChain ecosystem, we are always THORChain biased, right? So the main swap routes are always going over THORChain. So I think 95% our swap volume goes over THORChain. And that's like which we always quote first, right? Like if a pool on THORChain is available and you're swapping in Vultisig, you will be using THORChain. But then if it comes to more long tail ERC20 or Solana tokens, let's say, we're using other swap providers and aggregators, and always extending it to have the full swap functionality and essentially in the app. For example, we're also leveraging 1inch or of course Maya protocol, right? Because both of these protocols are like close by heart. And then like for all other EVM tokens and everything, we're using different aggregators. And of course, for example, we're already ready for the Tron when it goes live on THORChain. We have the token supported since the start, I would say, in like just holding it. But of course, we now already made the let's say small leap. Wasn't that hard of or big of a lift to be ready when it goes live on mainnet to be tradable in Vultisig to all different assets supported by THORChain.
So there's no way Vultisig, there's no way you, Pal, or anyone else in the team can turn off someone's Vultisig wallet. Like it's self-custody. It's non-custodial. So it's not like a centralized exchange where they can close your account. I have my Vultisig wallet, it's mine. There's no, I have the backup keys, backup vaults for it. It's mine. No one else, without those backup shares or vaults, no one else can touch it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Essentially, we are providing the app or the infrastructure to have a nice, access to the vault shares, to the MPC technology. But we inherently do not track anything about our Vulti squad, right? So you install the app from, you can either use App Store, Google Play Store, Chrome Store, or just directly from GitHub. Doesn't matter. And we don't have like any information of you guys, right? That also always makes it a bit harder for us to do like marketing, right? Because we don't know exactly like how many users we have. We don't know exactly how much traffic we have and everything. But we are like having more of the ethos, privacy first, and decentralization and self-custody first. So the app itself is, like you said, self-custodial. You can verify it in the code. It's, we don't have any access because all of the, like, let's say the shares that are created, or when you create a vault, it's all local, right? Of course, you're using or like by default, we're utilizing our relay server where we just relay the encrypted messaging. But if you're like really, let's say, paranoid and don't trust the relay server and the encryption we are using, by the way, it's like just standard AES encryption what we're using. But if you say, oh no, it's too sketchy for me to use the relay server because I'm like super careful when it comes to custodying my funds, you can use the local mode and switch it. Then of course all your devices need to be on the same Wi-Fi, for example, but then you're just using your local Wi-Fi without communicating outside that, let's say, infrastructure.
Okay, so let's talk about some extreme scenarios. You and all your team, you guys are on a plane, it crashes, you're done, you're gone. Vultisig, the entity, there's nobody there. It gets shut down. No one's supporting the app anymore. what happens to my wallet? Can I still use it? Can I take those? Like, one of the nice things with the seed phrase is I can input my seed phrase into any other wallet, or lots of other wallets, and recreate my wallet in that new, you know, bring up my crypto in that new wallet. Can I do that with the backup shares in Vultisig, or am I susceptible to Vultisig? The team, the company, the app getting shut down. Is there any? Yeah, do I have any safety there?
Yeah, right. No, great question. But essentially, like first, like I said, we're open source. So if everyone, like the whole Multisig team, would die tomorrow or whatever instantly, someone could just fork the repo and spin up, yeah, a clone or a new Multisig and have the support over that way. Or of course, we have like emergency recovery, which still, like, side note, we need to update a bit more, that you then essentially can combine the different seed phrases, or sorry, the different vault shares, and create a private key out of it, and then import it to a other different wallet, legacy wallet. But side note there also, some wallets do not or will not support our exported private keys, just because we created, like, in reverse, right? Like some people, for, or the most of the wallets, they first create the seed phrases and then create the private key out of it, but we're doing it like vice versa. So sometimes we can't, other wallets can't support our private keys because they're, like, inherently cryptographically differently created. But if even, like, that one is not supported or whatever, we are also aiming to increase the Vultisig standard used by different wallets. That's why we trying to make it as easy as possible for other wallets to also use the Vultisig tech. For example, THORWallet is already using it. So that's why essentially, if we go offline, you can just use your vault shares and import it, for example, in THORWallet. And we are aiming over the next years that other, let's say, legacy seed phrase wallets support our standard, and then you can just go to, like currently THORWallet, or let's say in the future whatever other legacy wallet imported there. So there are a few fallbacks, I would say. First, it's quite implausible that the whole Vultisig team vanishes tomorrow, but if it happens, you can clone it and do a new Vultisig by yourself if you're capable. And secondly, use another wallet that uses the standard. Or third, the last one is using the emergency recovery.
Are you guys actually in talks with other wallets, like the bigger ones, like Ledger or Trust or Trezor or whoever, to support your style of private key, however you want to phrase that?
Yeah, so currently not yet. Just because we are mainly focused all our efforts to just build out the wallet to have, like, all functionalities. But I think in the near future we will start reaching out and talking with all of the different wallets. But of course, it will be a let's say longer way to, especially bigger wallets like Ledger or MetaMask, to support the standard, because the bigger the entity or the wallet provider is, the slower it gets, right?
Okay, but so just kind of following like the crazy outlandish scenario, if you guys all did disappear for whatever reason, there'd be some. I mean, the average user, including myself, like, I'm not going into GitHub or GitLab to go, fork this code to go, recreate it. But chances are there'll be somebody in the community who can do that, or drive it, or find a dev who knows how to do that, and get things going again, so everybody can access their wallets. It's not like this would be lost forever. It's
Yeah, exactly.
okay. You mentioned you kind of highlighted the difference between a seed phrase and a private key, and I've definitely been guilty of conflating the two terms, but they're actually different, right? Can you explain that a bit for us?
Yeah, so essentially, the seed phrase is just a mnemonic display of a private key, because I mean, for us human, it's super hard to to just see, or apply a private key itself to anywhere, because it's like just a weird thing of like a string of numbers and characters. So, to just easy, let's say, storing of backups or the private keys, the seed phrase got introduced, and that's essentially, just 12 or 24 words, which are, readable to the human, and or easy readable and easy to just remember. And that essentially is just like a, let's say, easy or easily said, or a change or like a hashing of the private key itself. But like, for example, many wallets are first creating the different seed phrases, and then deriving the private key from it. But like, for example, from our side, if Vultisig would be used to create the seed phrase or the private key from it, because we don't have it like when we create it or store it, it will be like vice versa, right? So it's hard for us to create a seed phrase which then is importable to other wallets, because the encryption and the interchangeably, let's say, algorithm wouldn't work in the same way. So that's, for example, it's hard sometimes to import, let's say, for example, a private key from Vultisig in some wallets, but it depends like how the structure is, or the infrastructure is of that.
So I'm curious, like you said, everyone's used to seed phrases. I am too. And, backing them up and storing them. And I'm comfortable with how I'm saving my seed phrase. Thinking about Vultisig, and I'm like, well, how do I comfortably back up my different vault shares? I'm a bit confused on that. I'm like, what's the best practice or recommended practice to do it? If we got, you have these, vault shares, let's say you have your 3 different signing devices, your phone, your laptop, and your iPad. Each one of those devices has its own backup, right? And I have to back each one of those 3 things up. If I'm not writing it down on a piece of paper, putting it in my safe deposit box, I can't. How do I put my backup share in my safe deposit box? How or can I, or do I have to use the cloud? And if I'm using the cloud, well, now I have all 3 of those backup shares in the same place. So can you kind of walk me through this? Am I getting something wrong? Can you help me out?
Yeah, no, sure. I mean, essentially, when, like, we are all are already quite a few years, or like really drilled into the crypto industry, how we're just storing assets with the seed phrases. And that's, we got comfortable, I would say, a little bit with it, just to write down the words, store it somewhere on a piece of paper, or I don't know, being like a half a metal worker and punching it into metal on as like steel plate. But essentially, what you're think, like, many users have that thought or that question, right? Why should I do it? Because I have multiple backups. Then how do I store them? What should I do? It's like more confusing than just writing down 12 words and storing them in the drawer. But essentially, you're getting a multi-sig vault, a multi-factor authentication application to access your funds, which is like much inherently more secure than just like the single point of failure with seed phrases. So you can think about it first, it's an upgrade, and then of course, apart, like when you see it with other multisigs, for each multisig you would have like 3 different keys and would need to store them somewhere. So now you just have 3 different backups where you then can access 30 different chains. And first, it's a bit, yeah, let's say, of a hurdle and a bit intimidating to store these 3 different backups in 3 different locations. But the main point is, right, like each vault or each backup itself is not, doesn't have any sensible information, as I already said. So you can store it, for example, like I myself do it like that. One I store in my iCloud. The second one I store in my G Drive, and the third one I actually store on my USB stick, right? So essentially, you can, just copy and multiply the different, backups. And then, for example, if you're not, you really want to rely 100% on a backup itself. You can on a USB stick, for example. You don't want to store it in the cloud, for example. Put it on a USB stick. Put it in your post box or in your in your bank deposit. And then have a second one in the cloud, which is easier to access. And if you like, lose whatever the USB stick, you still have it online. But essentially, to go back to it, it first is intimidating to, like, for example, have 3 different backups. But as it's like a 2 of 3 vault, where the threshold of a vault to sign it or is 2 devices or 2 backups, you can essentially first lose one backup and you still have access to your funds, which gives redundancy. And secondly, they're digital, so you can, for example, store them, like I said, right, first on your iCloud, the second one in your G Drive, as long as they're not like connected and in the same location, right? For example, if you have it like on your phone, you have your G Drive and your iCloud connected, and somebody gets access to your iPhone, then of course it would be possible that they can get access to your funds. But there, it's like just important, right? That's why it's self custody, and everyone needs to find the best solution how to store them, right? For example, what I also do, because it's super easy to collaborate with other people creating these vaults, I have one family vault, where then I mainly use it with my wife and like myself. And the third share, for example, I just sent via WhatsApp to my mother, which I trust, and I know, like they don't collaborate to steal the funds. So you can also, just send it to a trusted third person, where, like, for example, other wallets are also using that kind of recovery method, where a trusted third person, I think some of them call them guardians or whatever, hold one of the shares, and you can just request them. So that's the cool thing I personally love about like Vultisig and the backups itself. They're so flexible in storing that first it blows a bit of like the mind of let's say an OG crypto because it just feels wrong to store it online. But then if you really used Vultisig a bit and got comfortable with the different backups and storing them, it's super nice. You can respawn easily. If you lose a device, you just access the cloud where you stored the one backup and load it, and then you have access again. And yeah, the possibilities are endless as long as they're like the different clouds or the different digital locations are like saved with different passwords. They're like the separation is big enough. For example, if you use like one password manager, one in your cloud, in your email or whatever, right? So first, I think it's intimidating, but that's some like one point maybe we can also improve a bit more to just help early users to how to store it and how to access it afterwards.
Well, I'll be honest with you, for me, that's one of my, if I have a hang up with Vultisig, it's that. It's like, to hear the arguments for the best ways to back up the vault shares. And let me run this by up because I've been thinking about starting a business kind of like Unchained Capital, where I help normies get into crypto, help them set up a crypto wallet, and then also help them with custody. I think custody is hands down the biggest barrier to entry for normies, and especially older people. We're the boomers have all the capital, all the money, right? And we want what you want to kind of invest in what boomers are going to invest in, or where that money is going to flow to, type thing. And make it easy for boomers to get into crypto. It'll be easy for that money to get in. And so I've been thinking about that, like, as a business, how do I get, the next 80% of the world's population into crypto? How do I, take part in that and help facilitate it? And I think helping people with custody is our main hurdle. And, trying to walk somebody through a seed phrase and putting it on steel and back, like they just their brains just stop. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Or they're completely honest. They're like, Kenton, I lose stuff all the time. I'm going to lose this thing, right? I can't I can't keep these 12 words safe. I'm going to lose it. And so I've been racking my brain. Well, how do I bridge this gap? But the key is I don't want to have full custody, because then now I'm becoming a VASP, and I'm opening myself to be all kinds of regulations and whatnot, and rules. Whereas if I can have like partial custody, like one of these vault backup shares, and say I'm dealing with a husband and wife, I can say, listen, set up this, download Vultisig, set up of 2 of 3. The husband and the wife, you each have a share, and I can have a share. And
Yeah.
so I have a backup in case anything happens to the husband or wife, to one of them, they lose it or whatever. They can, contact me and I can help them. Me by myself, I can't do anything. Technically, me and the wife, we could run away from the husband, or me and the husband could run away from their wife. So the husband and wife would have to have a good relationship and make sure that. But so in my mind, that's would be the most ideal way to kind of help get normies into crypto. And Vultisig could be a huge part of that, because it's much easier to back up the vault phrase. Forgive me, I keep forgetting what to call it. Back up the vault phrase. Um, does any of that make sense? You follow
Yeah.
where I'm going? Do you
No,
think
I
I'm
mean,
wrong? You want to add anything to that?
no, I mean, you're technically, down to the point. That's like the really awesome thing about Vultisig, right? You can be like as flexible as you want. And we could also, for example, have like a, let's say, more white glove, or like a, like a semi custodial service where we at Vultisig, host the second share. Essentially, we're doing it with fast votes, right? But we still directly email you to have the full custody. But for example, for like a business, or you, where you have access to a lot of, let's say, boomers who want to invest in crypto and Web3, that's a great way, right? You have one share, and the other person, or if it's like a family or whatever who wants to invest, has like the other different shares. So you, as like the semi custodian, never have access to it, but the customers always have like the full access. And if there's something goes wrong, you have one share. And the thing is, as with 3 shares, it's quite unplausible, to lose 2 of them at the same time, right? That's, for example, also in aviation, for example, right? Everything is redundant, and in crypto it should be the same, and not like relying on one sole seed phrase. And then when we come to the new era, I would say, with AI and bots, seed phrases or private keys are inherently not like secure or able to give it to a bot or whatever. But that's like another topic. But yeah, essentially, to just semi custodian, or in whatever setup you want to have it, Vultisig is the best wallet, I would say, currently, because it's super dynamic and flexible, right? Also, when it comes to, I don't know, like funds, treasuries, DAOs, or whatever, you can just, create a 2 of 3 vault, for example. And then if you have like more signers, you can just reshare the whole vault and add a new signer, or remove one signer or whatever. So it's like really dynamic. And I think that's the main, um, let's say, yeah, hurdle currently for us, like as crypto, and like just crypto OGs, to understand this dynamic and secure environment, if you not store 2 or 3 backups in one place. But also for, let's say, normies who are getting into crypto, it's also easier to understand than, like you said, right? Writing down 12 or 24 words and storing them somewhere. What happens if, like, like, I don't know, my house burns down, or whatever? Because all of them already use two-factor authentication in most of the, let's say, apps, right? When it comes to banking, all the apps have multi or two-factor authentication. Your Google account has two-factor authentication, and that's like essentially what Vultisig is. It's like a multi-factor, or like a two-factor authentication.
You mentioned removing.
Kenton,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm so sorry to interrupt. So it is my father's birthday today. I'm gonna have to go in just a second. So I just wanted to quickly bump in, just to ask you a quick question, pal, because I know a lot of people. And Kenton, you've been doing a great job with the questions, man. Absolutely logical consistency. You're a legend when it comes to doing this stuff. When it comes to Vultisig, and let's say like there's institutional players are going to be listening to this recording, right? And so far, I think we mentioned like 1 of 2, 2 of 3. You know, vaults, but is there an upper limit to how many you can have? And the reason why I ask that is I think this technology is very important, specifically for institutionals, because like the recent Bybit, exploit. If Bybit had been using Vultisig technology, I think it's quite clear that this would not have happened, and their $1.5 billion would have been safe. So that's what I just want to ask you before I drop. Could you shed a little light on that in case there's institutional players that are listening to this recording? Like, what makes it so good to use this tech?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, right? You can essentially don't have like an exact upper limit. You can add, 15 devices, 20 devices. Essentially, it gets a bit, of course, restricted by the network, because if there's a big, let's say, pool of committees or devices joining, it can be like we have currently like set like technical limit of 1 minute. So if your keygen or your key sign, so essentially creating the vault or sending a transaction, takes more than 1 minute, it will time out, right? So especially with the old MPC protocol, which we had, the GG20, which is also THORChain is currently using, it's a lot slower. So that's where we had like an upper limit of, I would say, like 8 or 9 devices. Then it like with latency and everything, it just got to the limit of like 1 minute or like 2 minutes. We had it before, but now with the DKLS protocol, which is like 10 times faster than the GG20 protocol, we like, honestly, I need to test how much the really the upper limit is. It like technically there is no upper limit, but of course, like, from like network latency and everything, there will be a limit eventually. But like up to like 20 or 30 should probably be quite possible. But honestly, I would need to test it, what exactly is our upper limit currently. I myself tested it with like 8 9 devices so far. But then, I also not running around with 100 different digital devices. So yeah, that's where like we currently had tested it. And of course, like we have a threshold of 67% currently like configured. Then you would always have like 60, or would need 60 67 65, sorry, 65% of devices to sign any transaction. But technically, we could also in the future make it dynamically that the user can adjust what the threshold of signing then would be.
Very cool, very cool. And with that, I gotta drop. Carry on, Kenton. Nice job, everyone. Thank you so much, guys. Make sure to refer to the resources up at the top of the space for Vultisig. Please give Pal and Vultisig a follow. Really cool stuff, guys. This is major alpha for you who've never heard of this tech. Have a great weekend, guys. God bless. Bye bye.
Thanks, Patriot, and sorry for hogging the space, man.
No, 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 dude.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. You are
yeah.
so good at asking questions. We are appealing to the audience, and you have a good flow, and your questions are logically consistent and dynamic. So if you're killing it, I'm not going to say anything, dude. So don't feel bad for a nanosecond. You're doing a hell of a job. So good job, man. But with that,
All
guys, I
right,
got to go. Take care.
good man. Thanks. Happy birthday to Patriot's dad. Um, yeah, pal. Thank you. Yeah, your answers have been great. So and every time you answer my question, you generate some more for me. You mentioned removing a signer. So I'm curious how that works. So let's go back to my business model. I've got John and Jane, husband and wife signed up, the two of three. They each have backup share. I've got a backup share, and they want to fire me. Kenton, we hate you. We don't want to talk to you anymore. We got to get ready. We don't want you having our backup share. We're worried about it. We don't want that lingering. How can they remove it from me? How can they cut me out of the equation? Is it because it's a two or three, they can just go start up somewhere else, or do you need three of three? How does that work? How does that look?
No, essentially it's called like a reshare function in MPC protocol, and what it's doing is just you can use the same devices, or like you say, right, you can remove one device or you can add multiple devices, and essentially reshare the same vault. So your address and your funds and anything won't change afterwards. But what will change is the backup shares and essentially, the, let's say, the access to it. So what you like essentially are doing is just creating new backups with a different access to the same public, private, or the same like root public key. but for example, it won't include your device, right? So let's say both of your customers say, no, we don't like your service or whatever. We're gonna fire you, but they still want to make sure that you don't have any access to it anymore. They can just reshare the vault with just their two devices in it, and delete their old backup shares. So then you still, of course, have one backup share, but as the other two old, backup shares or devices are not existent anymore, you can't do anything with it, right? The same as when one like malicious actor would get access to one backup or to one device, you won't be able to do anything with it. But the two new, like the both of the clients, both of the two guys can still afterwards sign it because it's a new vault, let's say, or not a new vault, but a new access to the same vault. You need to, like, a small note on that. After resharing, the old shares stay valid, right? So like on a like cryptographically technological level, it's not possible to invalidate the old backup shares. That's why it's like inherent like important that, let's say, like the threshold of backup shares then get deleted afterwards, and then you're like completely fine, right? But essentially it's possible to add and remove the like new signers dynamically, because you can just use this reshare function to then increase the threshold, increase the complete like committee and or number of signers in the whole vault. So yeah, that's essentially like how it's, let's say, functioning. Of course, I could go more into technical detail, but then it's getting a little bit too too abstract, I would say. But yeah, that's also like the same function we're using for our app store. Maybe to quickly touch on that, because with the MPC technology, we are also able to start finally automating self-custody, right? That is something which was not possible at all in the crypto space so far, because cryptocurrency and like how self-custody and signing works, you always, like, you as a user need to authorize the signing, you need to sign the transaction and then shoot it off to the blockchain, right? But with the MPC technology, with this reshare function, what we can essentially do is give the vault to an automation, right? Let it be an agent, let it be a server who automatically proposes transaction without you losing the access to it, or giving that like bot or that server a full, like, complete access to your funds. When it comes, for example, it wouldn't be possible with a private key, right? With a private key, you would need to give it someone, and this someone would have the complete access to the funds. But with the MPC technology, you can only give like one part of it to this entity, and this entity can propose or try to do a transaction, but always needs like a second part, right? Like yourself or a second signer to sign this transaction, and that is possible, with the reshare. And that's like how we gonna utilize the technology to create automation, essentially, where we then like will reshare your vault when you install a app, essentially a Vultisig app, where then like a proposing part and a verifying part both get two shares, and then together, when they collaborate, can sign a transaction. But you still have the full access to it because you have the backup shares before the reshare, essentially. I hope that makes a bit of sense without confusing too much.
I think so, and maybe so you can segue into the App Store, because I do want to ask you about it. But before, I just want to bring up something else I've been thinking about. Getting the next 80% of the world into crypto. I think one of the reasons that so many financial people hated Bitcoin and were against it for the longest time, and it still are, is because of that saying. It's hard to convince somebody of something if their income depends on them not believing it. Like, you have all these wealth managers, asset managers, fund advisors, hedge funds, whatever you want to call them, all of the above. They all get paid to manage money in TradFi, right? And so if somebody wants to buy Bitcoin, that's taking money out of their fund, out of their entity, and going somewhere else. They lose the fees on that money. And so rather than be intellectually honest and be like, yeah, Bitcoin might be good for you, even though I'm going to lose income, it is good for you, the investor. they just poo-poo Bitcoin because they want to keep money inside their fund. And so I think, this is another way, how do we get mass adoption in crypto? It has to be easy for these wealth managers, fund advisors, to get their clients' money into crypto. And the regulations in the US are changing. It's in the end, I do think it's good, but on the surface, looks like it's a bit Orwellian. It's not real crypto type thing. And it's probably a conversation for another day. But it is moving at least it's going in that direction. Trying to normalize crypto. The reason I'm bringing this up is with Vultisig, I've been thinking like, if there's a platform out there that can make it easy for a regular investment advisor to get their clients into crypto where they can still make money on it. And I'm wondering with the Vultisig App Store, is this a way? So like if I'm I'm a financial advisor, I've got 100 clients, and my book is say 20 million, pretty ordinary financial advisor in the US, and I come across Vultisig, could I put on my brand, my logos on like a Vultisig wallet and be like, yeah, I'm partnering up with this wallet. I'm going to use it for my clients, teach them how to get on there. I'm going to hold one of the Volt shares. And then, whatever crypto they have on the wallet, I can charge them like a management fee, like 1%, 2% of whatever crypto held. And then that way, the investment advisor, he can still make money he still gets paid, to put his clients into crypto, into Bitcoin. And he is providing a service, by having the backup share. He can, by adding his logo, he can show that, this is, he is affiliated, he is legit. Does that make sense? Are you following me what I'm asking? Is that possible? Could you
Yeah,
do something like that?
I mean, essentially, currently we don't have that really planned, but it would technically be possible. Just for example, as I said, right, we want to provide like an easy access to tap into the Vultisig technology with like the Vultisig SDK, what we're developing and everything. So we also have been talking already with like some other platform and dApps that they utilize, the technology to essentially give their users an easy access to a Vultisig vault, which they, like you said, right, host one share and the user has the other share. Then, of course, like the custodian risk increases, but of course, like you said, right, if we want to get the normies into crypto, there always probably needs to be some kind of custodian help to just make accessibility to crypto easier until everyone understands it and just can move forward to fully self-custody, which I'm like full advocate for. But essentially, with the modularity of multisig, it is possible. It's just like a matter of, let's say, dev lift, right? Like if somebody, like you said, right, like a hedge fund or whatever, has the technical capabilities, they can just use our technology, build their website where they then host like, for example, one share, and essentially the user can just then download the Vultisig app and create a vault with the website together, or with like the fund or whatever. But essentially currently now we don't have like the option like ready to use. But that's the thing. We're now a wallet which is a bit more of like, we're live now 1.5 years, or like the project is live 1.5 years, and there's so much to build, right? So we're constantly trying to ship and give like the full modularity for everyone to just increase adoption. I think we're slowly getting there, but still too much to build. But that's why we're like never sleep and always pushing features and improvements. But essentially, yeah, with the App Store, for example, someone like a hedge fund or whatever can build an app which then users can install. We have also ideas, for example, for bigger players like Circle or PayPal or whatever, to use like different apps and in the app store, then where then they of course get a share of the revenue or the transaction volume or whatever. Where we currently design the app store to have this modularity when it comes to monetization also. So that's like where, for example, if a builder comes on to the App Store and creates an app or an agent or whatever, what a Vultisig user then can install and use, 70%, we're copying a bit of the Apple Store, let's say, fees there. 70% goes to the creator of the plugin, and 30% of the income goes to the Volt token directly, same as with the swap fees, what we touched on earlier.
So can you let's get into the App Store. What kind of what are there some apps that already exist, and what do they do? And can you give some other examples of like the potential for the App Store? Like what could people build on there?
Yeah, I mean, essentially anything is possible. I would say, because from a, let's say, from a push technology, what crypto essentially is, right? Because the user always needs to sign the transaction before doing anything on chain. With the App Store, we can finally create secure self-custodial pull transactions, so to say. So the possibilities are essentially endless for the builders. So we, like, when we're gonna roll out the App Store, I hope we can go live in like the next 1 to 2 months. We are really pushing hard on that one. As some of you probably saw, like a JP, already posting about it, a few small alpha leaks. But essentially, the first apps what gonna be live, which will be built by us, are, for example, like a DCA plugin, where you then can just, DCA quite self-explanatory, or a payroll plugin will be live from the get-go, where you then can, for example, like, which we will use a lot, is just pay our team instead of using any disperser on like smart contract dispersers or whatever. We can just send everyone, let's say, the team, the funding amount. And the other one is, for example, like a copy trading bot or plugin, right, where you can just put in like an address, and it just looks on chain what trades this address does, and directly just mirrors it and swaps in app, right? Because, like I already touched on earlier, to install an app, essentially what you're doing is resharing your vault, to give one to the verifier and one to the plugin or the app server. So, which has like one server doesn't have like the full access to it, but if they collaborate, they can essentially automate your funds. Then you may ask, yeah, but how is that secure? The thing is, like I said, right, like one part, the plugin part or the app server, is the proposing part of this share, of this reshare, and the verifier always verifies it, that nothing gets signed what you didn't what you didn't authorize before. So, like, when you install a plugin, then what will happen is you set the parameters. Let's say, for example, right, for a DCA plugin, you're saying, yeah, on a weekly basis, I want to swap 100 USDC to Bitcoin. And then the verifier saves this policy, and only you, as the which has the first part of the vault, or the main unautomated part of the vault, can change this policy. And the verifier always needs to join the proposing part, the plugin part, to sign this transaction, right? So essentially, the plugin then, or the plugin itself, says, okay, today is Monday again. It's time for me to swap 100 USDC to Bitcoin as you propose, or as you want to have it. It proposes the transaction, sends it to the verifier. The verifier checks against the policy. Yeah, okay, it's true. Like, the plugin proposes a swap from like 100 USDC to Bitcoin, checks the policy. If it's correct, it joins the key sign, and signs the transaction and sends it off. But now, like, for example, let's say the plugin is malicious, or just got hijacked, or proposed, like, does weird stuff, and proposes, for example, to do a send of 1,000 USDC to wallet Y, right? For example, then of course the plugin itself can't sign or broadcast this transaction. It would generate the transaction, would send it to the verifier. The verifier checks it. Okay, normally what I am allowed to authorize and co-sign is 100 USDC into Bitcoin, but that transaction now says send 1,000 USDC to address Y. Then the verifier says, no, doesn't make any sense. and just doesn't join the key sign or the the signature creation, and nothing will happen. So that's why you have then essentially the security, because you always have like two different parts which will always cross sign and verify each other, and then like you have the automation with it, right? And essentially anything is possible with that kind of structure of a wallet, right? So essentially, we are already, like we already announced before, we are also partnering with CFGI, great guys which have like a crazy access to a lot of data when it comes to, to just a fear and greed indicator, and they created like a trading bot out of it. And with that one, they will have an app which is the bot itself, and the bot itself will propose the transactions, and the verifier will always just cross check it with the policies what you as a user created. And if it's true, then it will just co-sign, and then you could have automated trading agents, or you could have like an agent who just scrapes X, or like the X tweet of feed of Vitalik, and if Vitalik tweets about his girlfriend, it automatically sells the ETH and just buys it back later or whatever, right? So essentially, the let's say the technology or the apps and the plugins behind the proposing parts are super abstract and can be anything what you guys can think of, right? That's why we want to have a ecosystem which is full of builders who just come onto like the Vultisig app store, create their app, their plugin, what they think it's awesome, and then users can just one click install it and use it. So that's like the vision of the app store, and that's why we as Vultisig, we don't want to build each plugin or everything. We just want to give the tools to everyone to create these plugins easily and users to use it easily.
So going back to my example that I want to have a business, help people get into crypto. I set them up with Vultisig, and I want to manage their crypto holdings inside Vultisig. I can create an app that acts like how I say this. I create an app that will allow me to buy and sell crypto within the wallet. I can just have like their existing Vultisig addresses. Those are the only addresses I'm allowed to move crypto to and from. But essentially, I can go and direct trades, and I would just have to get John and Jane, husband and wife, to download the app and approve it, and then I'm now directing the crypto inside the wallet for them. Is that right? Is that possible?
Yeah, essentially, actually, great idea. Like I personally at least never like thought about this one, but it would be possible, right? That you create a plugin or an app, which then your customers install, and essentially it's just like let's say a hedge fund trader or whatever, right? You can propose the transaction, and the customers pre-authorized that anything like, right, like that's where then the trust increases, of course. But they could essentially say, yeah, anything which the plugin proposes it's able to create or sign the transaction or like broadcast the transactions. So anything like you do then or propose, the app will just like automate and just execute, right? So essentially the user from like your customers point of view, they would just one click install this app, this plugin, and you would have access to just sign transaction and do trading for them. And that's like as long as they want to have it, right? But the cool thing is with the apps and the plugins in the app store, it's also like a one click uninstall, right? Like if you, for example, don't want to have like for example, you as a hedge fund to do trades for them and have access to their funds, they can just uninstall the app. But what happens like on the back end for the user experience, it would just be like one click uninstall. But what would happen on the back end, is just deleting both of the shares on the verifier and the app or the plugin side itself. And then, or even like just one, deleting one would be enough, right? Because then the threshold is not met anymore and nobody can propose or do any transactions anymore.
So, but anyone could download this app too. Wouldn't just have to be somebody that I know that I recommend. My app would be in the App Store. Anybody could download it and use my fund,
Yeah,
basically
exactly.
and so then I could, and because I create the app, I can dictate the fee. So if I want to say I want to take 1% fee on each trade, I could do that, and then 30% of that money would go to Vultisig, and the other 70% would go to me, to my private wallet. Is
Yep.
that right?
Yep. Essentially, that's exactly it. Like the monetization will be quite flexible. Let's say, you can either do it like on install, one fee install, or if it be like, a monthly subscription. That's another point which is like super great, or just do it on volume, percentage wise. So it would be quite flexible, and as you said, right, 70% will go to the creator and 30% will go to the Volt token, which anybody who holds it and stakes it gets the revenue from it, right? So it's not like something where then the 30% will go to us, to our treasury or whatever. It just goes directly to the Volt staking contract and will be distributed over that. So yeah, essentially, the app will be in the App Store, and anyone who thinks, yeah, Kenton is a great trader, right? I trust him. I trust his trades. Can just install it and go for it, right?
So how hard is it to create one of these apps? Like you actually have to write code. Like you actually have to be a developer to create the app then.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, currently yes, but we down the road, or like, we are a project or a team, who constantly iterates and tries to make it as easy as possible and like as seamless as possible. So we will step by step lower the barrier to create these apps, let's say. So essentially, currently you need a bit more experience for like just coding and everything, but let's see like to what level we can bring it. Maybe in the future, you can just install, like, create apps with some building blocks, like predefined codes where you can just more or less click or drag and create apps or something. I'm just thinking about that. But yeah, like, we're constantly pushing to make it as easy as possible.
well, I'm just thinking about my mutual fund, crypto mutual fund idea, lack of a better term, because I know there's thousands, maybe millions of people out there who are like, between their friends and family, kind of manage their crypto for them, right?
Hmm.
And they'll have crypto in a wallet, and they just kind of take care of it, and their families and friends just trust them, right? But if they could have Vultisig and have an app where they're actually, doing the trades for each one of their friends and family in their, each friend and family member have their own wallet, and this one friend who's managing it all can just do it within the app. It'd be much cleaner, keeps everything segregated. Um, yeah, I'm wondering if people would be interested, would do that.
I think,
Um,
yeah, definitely. I think people will definitely be interested. I mean, I also know it from my personal, just like friends and family. Everyone, or a few, always come, hey, should I buy this coin or whatever coin? And then that's just, like, just whatever. I'm not like an advisor or trader or like, essentially, but it would make it much easier, right? To just, like, if you have like a big following, or a big, managing some funds, just, yeah, hey, install it, and the rest is like, I'm doing it, and you just can't forget about it.
well, especially these big KOLs, right? If they're such hot shots and all their trades are so great, they can come in and create a Vultisig app, tell all their users, hey, come use this app. You can mirror all my trades. I do it all for you, hands off. Bing, bang, boom. The KOL gets paid, Vultisig gets paid, the user gets, access to their KOL's trades. Sounds like win-win-win. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
That's really cool. For example, also like another application, right, are like subscriptions, for example, right? You can just, like, let's say a subscription to, I don't know, to a big extent, let's say Netflix, or whatever newsletter or what else. You can just install the app of newsletter XYZ. Afterwards, you get access to it, and it just like charges you $2 per month or per week or whatever, right?
Cool. So the App Store, it doesn't exist yet, or it just launched? Where are you in that? Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, it's something like essentially where we are pushing the frontier, or are like on frontier, because it doesn't exist anywhere. So we are building that one as one of the first projects, I think, in the whole world. We have it in a beta environment already for like just internal testing and improvement. And the DCA and the payroll plugins are, and like the copy trade plugins have like a basic functionality already, and we're pushing hard. We have a whole dedicated team to it, apart from our core app team. So I would say probably we're aiming to have the App Store live, and yeah, like I said, right, the next 4 to 2 months, or 4 weeks to 2 months, sorry. So yeah, and probably we gonna release it into beta environment for our multi squad a bit earlier. Yeah, so it's nothing which exists yet, I would say, like openly, but it's nothing like we say, yeah, in a few years it will be possible to automate your wallets. It will be possible this year, even in the next, yeah, I would say maximum 2 to 3 months. But yeah, that's something like we're really really pushing hard, and what we essentially think is also the one of the main selling points for Vultisig, because of course higher security and easy storage and everything is nice to have, but it's not like quite a like sexy selling point. So having like real automation, without giving up self custody or giving away your private key, which then somebody else has full access to your funds, is like super groundbreaking, right? And that's
Yeah.
something like we are super hyped about to get that live finally, and we're pushing like every day and night to get that live.
Well, I mean, how many of us have our bills, just automatically paid to our credit cards? So we don't have to worry about every month. We don't have to go manually pay them. It's just automatic. All of our subscriptions, all this
Yeah,
stuff is just automatic. And that's hang up with crypto. Every time you do a transaction, it's manual. You have to go authorize it. And if you automate it, that's huge.
yeah,
Yeah, no, good for you guys.
yeah,
Well, let me ask you some maybe more harder questions. A few weeks ago, JP posted, he's a bit frustrated with, some of the bugs going on in Vultisig, and I think he went in Discord. Said, "Hey, everybody, stop what you're working on, spend the next week, fix all these bugs." Um, did you guys do that? Did you fix the bugs? Is everything cleaned up? Do you still have some more stuff to iron out? Um,
yeah. No, I think that's a great point. As Multisig is quite a new tech, and we are complete, like all our different platforms on like iOS, Android, and Windows are completely different code bases. We're building the iOS app in Swift, Android on Kotlin, and the Windows app on React. So therefore, each implementation is a bit different, and therefore there can be like some bugs which sneak in, especially as we're supporting 30 different chains, with each having like a bit of a different functionality, that can like be a bit more edge cases or rough edges, especially now where the wallet, I would say, is still relatively new compared to other more established wallets, which are like honed out, and we're live now a year. So of course, we had a few different and like pretty annoying bugs. I would say currently our apps are in a nice and reliable state. Of course, if anyone encounters any issues, please always just shoot me a message, JP a message, ping us on Discord, on X or whatever, and we directly get it fixed. As we try to cover everything, but of course sometimes some stuff gets like slips through, which we are like now improving always, and I think we're on a good track. But of course, like if you guys find anything, just ping me, ping the team. We get it fixed directly, because we want to build like the best and like the most flawless wallet out there with the best UI UX. So it's a long way still to build everything out, but currently I think we're in a good state, especially with the extension, having a lot of different dApp support already when it comes to EVM chains, now with like the Ruggira support on the website or on the Ruggira website. So we're constantly pushing, and we probably we will have from now on, like always 1 week dedicated to just fixing bugs, honing out everything once per month, and of course, yeah, fixing bugs and pushing features every day.
Can I suggest maybe having a channel in Discord or something? We don't need JP playing customer support on everybody's little problems. Maybe is Discord a better venue for people to reach out?
Yeah, definitely. No,
Yeah.
we already on Discord have, just like a support channel, or, just a open, like, as our whole Discord is public, you can just hop in there and shoot, like, myself or the mods. We have like amazing mods out there, like Samyap, for example, or Jane or 3Ms, like different, all of our mods are always there, and of course myself too. Just shoot a support ticket, or just a ping on Discord is like always the easiest, I would say.
Okay, great. Well, let's you mentioned Vultisig's been out for a year. So is the whitelist. When launch? When we make some money? What's yeah, what's
When
the deal there?
yeah, no,
When?
so yeah, I would say we are close to it. I don't want to say any, specific dates or whatever. We're pushing on it. What we're really currently also thinking about, or is important for us to have, like, the App Store, either launched or very close to launching when the token goes live. So that's like some restraints there. The whitelist, of course, yeah, it's live since a year. That's why we also currently, have like the reactivation going on, because we want to have the, like, all people on the whitelist active, and just, don't have like any slots wasted. So that's why we're currently reactivating it. So anyone who didn't, like, is on the whitelist and didn't activate or reactivate their slot, go do that. We have like a few posts on our X there. But yeah, I don't want to give any dates, but it's, I would say, not too far in the future when it comes to Volt, to the token, because of, of course, we are generating fees every day with, like, the in-app swaps. And now, with the referrals, for example, you can lower them, like the fees already, and just give a percentage to the referral itself. But the main, selling point, let's say, is, right, just staking Volt and receiving these funds directly in USDC. So that's why we also want to push for launch, that everyone can stake the token and have a share of the adoption, or just get a share of the adoption, especially with the App Store going live with the different apps then generating revenue. It will be very interesting to see when it comes to just the revenue share to the Volt token itself.
So just to reiterate, anybody, if you were on the whitelist last year, you need to go back and basically reapply, make sure you're back on it. So you have links on your Twitter and Discord to go do that, Pao. It's easy for people to figure that out.
Yeah, wait. I'm not sure how. I'm not super good with X spaces to pin something, but yeah, essentially it's on, like, on our Vultisig and X account, and of course, like, we will have a few more reminders coming up also in our Discord. So it's not like super urgent, but don't forget it. Go do it.
Yeah. And is there a part of you guys that kind of want to wait until maybe September, wait and see if the altcoin market is going to break out and kind of launch at the same time? Or is that not part of your thinking process at all?
I mean, it's still always like a bit in there, I would say, right? The whole macroeconomics and the whole markets, how they're moving. But, like, I'm, like, personally, I'm more in the camp of, like, currently we shouldn't wait for the perfect time to launch, or wait until XYZ happens or whatever. So we have a few internal metrics we still wanted to decide to as, like, nail down anything specifically. But yeah, I would say it just would generally make sense to observe it a bit, but don't make it, like, really dependent on it.
Yeah. Now, and then what about Kraken? Is that still a go? Are they still, I remember originally when the Vault token was going to launch, it was going to coincide with trading in Kraken. Is that still moving forward? Is Kraken going to still have the token trade at the same time as the launch?
Yeah, like I don't want to say too much on that, or can't say too much on that. We're still pushing. There were some, internal issues and everything. That's why we also currently didn't like publish too much about it. I would say it's everything is still ongoing, but much slower. And yeah, sadly, the possibilities are a bit lower than initially, communicated. It's something like I personally are quite frustrated about it, but I don't want to go into too much detail, or can't go into too much detail currently. But yeah, essentially we're still pushing on it, but a bit lower like pace, or slower pace. So yeah, we will see when we're closer to launch.
Okay. I'm running out of questions here, guys. And if anyone in the audience, you want to come up, ask a question, have any comments, I don't see anybody requested. But please, you're welcome to come up. Pal, this has been great. I don't know, is there anything else that you want to talk about that we haven't touched on that you want to bring up?
I mean, there's always so much to talk about, right? But I think we covered most of it. I hope some guys come up and ask some questions. Essentially, like I personally love just building Vultisig and being, like I like it's my first project, or like thing where I'm building, which is completely in public, and like open, accessible, and verifiable by everyone. And it's quite interesting because if I make any mistakes or move slow or whatever, everyone can see it, and that like is super motivating. So I think the whole team is constantly pushing, and that's why I would say our progress is quite big in like the 1 year we are now like pushing this product. So yeah, I think there's still a lot to catch up on, but we're like constantly pushing and improving UI UX, especially when it comes to to just co-signing with different different signers, different chains, and everything. So still a lot to build. But yeah, I think see somebody has a question. So
Yeah, Daniel Marvin. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, hello. I really enjoyed the space. I've been in the space from beginning to now. I really love what Vote is building. Really love it. I've been following Vote since last year. I heard about Vote since last year. I've been following them. I have the app. I'm using the app. But I would just like to get an answer for what about the people who merge Wewe token, like Wiwi token?
yeah,
Any like for over a year now they've merged because I remember some of my friends bought and they're still complaining to me that we've merged it and there's nothing that can be done to it for now for over a year now.
yeah.
Any hope on that?
I'm like honestly, I personally also in that camp, right? I also merged some Wee into Volt, and essentially the only blocker is the launch, right? So if when we launched Volt, or will launch Volt, then that quite like maybe a few hours or days afterwards, we also gonna distribute the Volt to each like holder, or each person who merged Wee into Volt, which will be like an a normal airdrop. You don't need to do anything, just hold it, and then you will receive the vault for it. So yeah, I mean that's like with the merge and everything wasn't perfect, but yeah, essentially we don't want to have all the mergers locked in for long time. But of course we need to launch the token before we can distribute the merged vault. But yeah, that will directly happen after the launch, or quite immediately.
Daniel, is that good? Do you have any more you want to ask? Any follow-up?
No, like it's all good, it's all good. But I just felt like due to people merging Wewe to Vote. I was expecting Vote to launch early this year when they brought up like some month ago, but now they postponed. I feel like people phones are logged in there. It's not like it's a normal talk. I wish people didn't merge with Wewe with Vote. I'll be like, okay, anytime they want to launch, anytime they are okay with it. But I feel like with people money being merged, I think it's taking a lot of time. That is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no,
Hope
I
you can
like
get.
I totally understand the frustration there a bit. And like I said, right, I'm in the same camp. But like for us, it's like the merged thing is, you know, was just like a goodie from for the whole Weeby holders to get into Volt. And it also doesn't make sense, right, to just launch the Volt token for like the 10% of the whole, or like the 10% of the supply to unlock immediately, and then, you know, we're not ready with fee distribution or whatever. So I know it's frustrating, but you know, the launch isn't too far out, so I'm super, yeah, still super excited to unlock you guys very soon after the launch, and then hopefully everyone will be happy again. But I understand the frustration, and yeah, but not, I can say not everything sadly is perfect in life, and I understand it. But yeah, we're pushing to have the token out as fast as possible so everyone has access again and to the vault.
Ex Arnegi, I believe you're next up.
Hey guys, thanks. Yeah, cheers for the space. It's been good. JP recently sort of teased a feature that I was quite excited to see. It's a problem I ran into historically, where we can actually upgrade a existing wallet, sort of transferring it from a seed phrase into Vault shares. I guess maybe I have two questions about this, but the first one would be, is it also possible to do it the other way around? Because I remember one of my early anxieties about using this system was that I didn't have a way of sort of, I guess, decrypting the Vault shares back into a seed phrase. I'm told that it's possible. I just don't believe that Vultisig currently has got any sort of easy, user-friendly way to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, like like JPTs, right? We are quite close to have the feature to import private keys into Vultisig and create vultures out of it. But as we also
Hmm.
already touched on earlier, we have like like the emergency recovery where you can create a public key out of it. But yeah, like first, as we recently or like a few months ago upgraded to DKLS, we need to upgrade also this emergency recovery. I'll get that sorted ASAP. And we also have a great community tool. I think that's something we need to highlight a bit more. One of our awesome community members built a great recovery tool, which makes it much easier to recover these public keys, and then, you know, you can essentially import them in other wallets. But of course, you know,
Correct.
there are also the other wallets like for wallet, for example, like we touched on earlier, where you can also import the vault shares and access it there if our app would be unavailable.
Awesome. If you don't mind, just a second question while I've got it on my head. When I was kind of curious, I've got sort of an example where I've got maybe some existing smart contracts that I've, you know, interacted with historically with a wallet, but it is a wallet that I would be quite interested in upgrading to the security of Vultisig vaults. I just had a slight anxiety that if I go through this upgrade process, does it create, you know, is there any sort of risk of incompatibility with me maybe being able to then access my funds through this, or I guess interact with smart contracts I've previously interacted with? You know, does that make sense? I guess it's just because I don't technically understand how this is working, but I was almost concerned to change the security approach to something I've already been using, just in case it kind of causes issues. Do you think that's a risk or not?
Not really. I mean, essentially, right? If you interacted with some kind of smart contract or whatever, doesn't matter if you're using like Vultisig or let's say a legacy wallet with a seed phrase. If you authorize the smart contract to, you know, do XYZ, whatever the smart contract does, it still can do it afterwards. You upgrade it, but the same would be, you know, same with like a legacy wallet. You can just revoke the access to the smart contract, or, you know, negate the access to it, and then you would negate the risks of like the interaction with the smart contract, if that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, sort of. I guess maybe I've just realised maybe I had actually misunderstood something, but the am I right in thinking the wallet would still actually work? Let's say I've got a MetaMask wallet that's got the access to the wallet, and I've interacted with the smart contract. Just because I've upgraded the wallet to Vault shares via another wallet, Vultisig wallet, doesn't mean necessarily that I can't still use the MetaMask just using the seed phrase. It's not going to it's not going to require that I then use the Vault share approach, is it?
No, essentially not. It's just like,
Yeah.
you can see it. It doesn't matter if you use like a seed phrase wallet or a Vultisig vault. Essentially, what you're doing there, in like terms of a smart contract, you're just authorizing the smart contract to do X, Y, C, and just the signing method is differently, right? And on a seed phrase wallet, you just create the valid signature with your private key, and in Vultisig, it would be like the multiple devices joining and creating the valid signature. But that's why we also have the Chrome extension, right, where you then just use the extension, same as like your MetaMask or whatever, connect to the smart contract of your choice, and then just sign the smart contract from there.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect, mate. Thanks for the answers.
Deuces, you're up next. Deuces, we can't hear you. You got to unmute yourself. And if anybody else wants to speak, come on up. Maybe Deuces caved under their pressure here. I don't know. Let's see, I'm approving you, Nicole. The Deuces might have to figure out his setup.
Or maybe
Yeah.
X is wonky again. I mean, we all know how X sometimes.
Oh God, don't
glitch.
jinx it, man. I was just thinking that. I mean, this space has been going great. No rugs yet. So, Nicole, are you there? Can you speak? I see you're unmuted. You should be able to talk.
Can you guys?
There you go. I can hear you. Nicole, can you hear us?
Okay, good day, everyone.
Nicole, you're cutting in and out there. I don't know what's going on.
So,
Or is it
can you
me?
guys hear me?
I can't. Pal, can you hear her? Or is it me?
Yeah, but it cuts out a bit. But I think if
Okay.
she talks longer, we should be able to hear her.
Okay, I said I just joined, so I don't know if I'm late. I need a recap. Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean we are nearly or we are nearing to the 2 hour mark, so we covered quite a bit. Before I think or just summarize everything, best would be to listen to the recording if that's fine for you. Otherwise, we probably will need another 20 minutes to summarize everything.
Yeah, sorry, Nicole. Listen to the recording, please.
I'm going to.
Can GM, can you guys hear me now?
There you go. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, can I speak now? Am I allowed to speak now, Kenton?
Yep.
Okay,
Go ahead.
GM, Power, Kenton, everyone on the speaker role, GM. My question is actually directed more towards the token. I don't know if that's allowed. Power.
Sure, shoot it.
Okay, so I'm actually looking to I wanted to know if Power could break down the Vultisig tokenomics, like including the token schedules unlocked and overall distribution of the Volt token.
Yeah, so to quickly cover it, essentially the main or the full supply will be 100 million volt. 6% of that will go to the airdrop, which we are is ongoing. So anyone in the space who is using Vultisig should join the airdrop and get a part or a share of these volts. So 6% goes to the airdrop. We have a few percent, 1.7%, I think, or something like that, going to a strategic partnership with CoinMarketCap. 10% going to the Weebly merge. Then we have the treasury of us with, I think, 11 or 12%, which we will use to seed liquidity on launch. We have around 24%, which goes to the early investors, who are also in a liquidity pool, which are locked for around a year. And then we have another 30%, which went to different investors who enabled us to have this kind of runaway for the next few years to keep building. They will be unlocked at launch. And then we have like a team part of, I think, 17%, which has a linear vesting for the next 4 years. So that's how we wanna be sure, that the team constantly keeps building and doesn't sell like too many tokens at once. So that's like, I think, the rough rundown in tokenomics. Most of the stuff we are aiming to have, directly unlocked on launch. We want to have like a low FTV, high float token launch. As the other way around, you mainly saw what like token prices do in the long run. So that's our approach to the Volt token itself. Does it cover it? Do you have any further question in that regard?
Thank you very much. You pretty much actually cleared out everything I wanted to know. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, Kenton.
Thank you, Deuces. With the Coke, you're next.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
So I didn't have a question, but I want to just add on to the previous, not previous, but the guy before him, who was concerned about going from the MetaMask seed phrase to the Vultisig system, and he was asking does it revoke any access to the previous wallets or whatever? So I would say that's my gut feeling. I just want to clarify as well. As long as you don't, how do I say if you just add another way to interact with your seed phrase or with your wallet, the other accesses that you created before do not get revoked if you don't just revoke it on the contract level. If it makes sense. The guy who said he didn't understand the signal.
Yep, no, makes sense. Essentially, it doesn't matter what type of signature creation you're using on the smart contract level.
Yeah, exactly.
It stays intact.
It doesn't matter how many different ways of access to the wallet you give for the assets. It doesn't change anything the other ones that you previously give. So if you don't want to have any more access from the previous setups, you have to move your token. So as long as your tokens don't move, I think you still have the access with the previous setups.
Yep, exactly.
That's great. I think we've run out of guests coming up to speak. Pal, one last chance. Is there anything we didn't touch on and talk about that you want to bring to people's attention? Any last parting words you want to leave us with?
Yeah, no, I think we covered a lot. Thanks for the space. Really enjoyed it. Mainly, I would say, guys, try the wallet, use it, give us feedback. As it's something really frontier in building. We love to always get input and honest feedback, and then just create the greatest wallet for everyone. When it comes from just single investors, funds, DAOs, family offices, or whatever. I'm super happy to build this wallet in that kind of way, close to the THORChain ecosystem or THORChain family, just because I'm a THORChad by heart. And that's why, we always try to push and have all THORChain functionalities in the app. That's why first we didn't want to have it, but now we're soon also gonna figure and push a feature to have one-click LP deposits, similar to our in-app bonding already. So we're always trying to support the THORChads to have all features directly accessible in the app. Apart from that, I think I'm don't have anything else to add. Use the wallet, join the airdrop. I mean, if you store your funds securely in Vultisig without the issue of getting exploited or losing your seed phrase or whatever, then just join the airdrop and get a share of the 6% of the whole supply of Volt. Without anything you need to do. Of course, you can increase it with swap volume, a swap volume multiplier, or holding specific tokens or NFTs, for example, like the Thor guards in your vault. But essentially, it's I would say almost wasted money not joining the airdrop and using Vultisig. So go do that. And yeah, apart from that, I would say we covered most of it.
Great, thank you. I think we did too. I'm pretty happy. I learned some new things. It's been great. So yeah, people go if you're on the Vault whitelist, make sure you reactivate your spot so you don't miss out. What you did last year won't count. You need to go reactivate it. So yeah, so lots on the horizon here for Vultisig. I'm looking forward to the App Store and everything you guys are doing. It's gonna be cool. There's more on the horizon for THORChain too, right? I mentioned we have the new front end coming out. We've got limit swaps coming, rapid swaps coming. We have Solana and Tron. It's still, it's always every week is next week type thing, right? But it should be coming out soon. Next week we got Chad Barraford. He's going to come on the space next Saturday. The week after that, we've got Baloney Bones from the THORChain community Discord lined up. He's going to come join us. So that's our topics for the next 2 weeks. And so I want to thank everybody for listening. If you're enjoying the space, repost it. Give us some more. Spread the love for us. Talk to you soon, everybody. Thank you.